Assalamu alaikum. My name is Kutsi Anaz and I am from the Department of BS Biotechnology. My roll number is 002. The topic of my presentation is the NMR spectroscopy. So let's talk about the spectroscopy. Spectroscopy is a study of the interactions between the radiations with the matter. Radiations may be the X-rays, gamma rays and the radio waves. So let's coming towards our main topic, that is the NMR spectroscopy. NMR spectroscopy is a powerful analytical technique used to characterize the organic molecules by identifying the carbon or hydrogen frameworks within the molecules. Many nuclei may be studied by the NMR techniques, but hydrogen and the carbon are the most commonly available. NMR gives information about the number of magnetically distinct atoms of the type being studied. When a hydrogen nuclei protons are studied, for instance, one can determine the number of each of the distinct types of the hydrogen nuclei as well as obtain information regarding the nature of the immediate environment of each type. The combination of the IR and the NMR data is often sufficient to determine completely the structure of an unknown molecule. Types of NMR. Two common types of NMR spectroscopy are used to characterize the organic structures. The first one is the hydrogen NMR and the second one type is the carbon NMR. Hydrogen NMR, it is also known as the proton NMR. It is used to determine the type and the number of the hydrogen atoms in a molecule. The carbon 13 NMR, it is analogous to proton NMR and allows the identification of carbon atoms in an organic molecule, just as proton NMR identifies a hydrogen atom. As such, carbon 13 NMR is an important tool in the chemical structure elucidation in the organic chemistry. Carbon 13 NMR detects only the isotopes of the carbon 13. So let's talk about the nuclear spin states. Many atomic nuclei have the property called the spin. The nuclei behave as if they were spinning. In fact, any atomic nucleus that possesses either odd mass, odd atomic number, or both has a quantized spin angular momentum and the magnetic moment. The more common nuclei that possesses a spin includes the hydrogen 1, hydrogen 2, carbon 13, nitrogen 14, oxygen 17, and the fluorine 90. The nuclei of the most abundant isotopes of carbon and the oxygen are not included among those with the spin property. These are the some rules for determining the net spin of a nucleus. If the number of neutrons and the number of protons are both even, then the nucleus has no spin. If the number of neutrons plus the number of a proton is odd, then the nucleus has a half integer spin, that is 1 by 2, 3 by 2 and 5 by 2. If the number of neutrons and the number of protons are both odd, then the nucleus has an integer spin, that is 1, 2, 3. Here are the some common spin quantum numbers of element like hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen and so on. The overall spin I is important. Quantum mechanics tells us that a nucleus of a spin will have 2I plus 1 possible orientation. The proton has a spin quantum number half and has two allowed spins, positive half and the negative half. For chlorine nucleus, for the chlorine nucleus, I is equals to 3 by 2 and there are four allowed spin states, positive half, negative half, positive 3 by 2 and the negative 3 by 2. Let's take an example. The first example is about the hydrogen. Hydrogen 1, it has one proton and its nuclear spin quantum number is half. Number of spin states are 2. This is a formula for finding the number of spin states, 2i plus 1. By putting the value of I in this formula, we find the number of spin states. The next one example is the deuterium. It has one proton plus one neutron and their spin quantum number is 1 and the number of spin states is 3. The third one example is about the chlorine 30. It has a 6 proton plus 7 neutrons. Its nuclear spin quantum number are 1 by 2. By putting the value of nuclear spin in the formula, we get the value of spin states. Their spin states are 2. I hope you understand. The nucleus has a magnetic movement generated by its charge and spin. The hydrogen nucleus may have the clockwise or the counterclockwise spin, and the nuclear magnetic movement in the two cases are pointed in the opposite direction. Effect of the magnetic field. When the charged particle, such as a proton, spin on its own axis, it creates the magnetic field. Thus, the nucleus can be considered to be a tiny bar magnet. Normally, these tiny bar magnets are randomly orientated in space, however, in the presence of the magnetic field. They are oriented with or against the magnetic field. More nuclei are oriented with the applied field because this arrangement is lower in energy. The energy difference between these two states is very small. In a magnetic field, there are no two energy states for a proton, the lower energy state and the higher energy state. The lower energy state with the nucleus aligned in the same direction, aligned in the same direction of the applied magnetic field, and the higher energy state in which the nucleus aligned against the magnetic field. When an external energy source that matches the energy difference between these two states is applied, energy is observed causing the nucleus to spin flip from one orientation to another. The energy difference between these two nuclear spin states corresponding to the low energy RF region of the electromagnetic spectrum. The next one topic is the absorption of the energy. The nuclear magnetic resonance phenomena occurs when nuclei aligned with an applied field are induced to absorb energy and change their spin orientation with respect to the applied field. The energy absorption is a quantized process and the energy absorbed must equal the energy difference between the two states evolved. Energy absorbed is equals to the energy minus half state minus energy plus half state is equals to the h mu. In this diagram, when the no field, the nucleus are electrically charged and many have spin that cause them to behave like a magnet. But in this case, the nucleus with a spin at the higher energy generates a magnetic field in the opposite direction to the external magnetic field. The nucleus with spin at the lower energy generates a magnetic field in the direction of the external magnetic field. There are two possible spins, minus half and the positive half. In this case of, it is the case of the chlorine. The four possible spins, minus half, positive half, minus 3 by 2 and positive 3 by 2. As we learned in the last slide, the magnetic field is in the directions of the applied magnetic field has the low energy and it is in decreased state. But in the case of this, when the applied field is opposite in the direction of the magnetic field, it is the increased state. When the magnetic field is applied, this positive half and positive 3 by 2 and the negative 3 by 2 are oriented in this direction, and the positive half and the negative half are oriented intermediate, and this one intermediate downward. In this slide, we learned that when we apply the magnetic field, when we increase the magnetic field, the energy also increased. The spin state energy separation as a function of the strength of the applied magnetic field. The stronger the applied magnetic field, the greater the energy difference between the possible spin states. Each nucleus has a different ratio's magnetic field to the angular momentum since each has different charge and the mass. This ratio is called the magnetogram ratio. is a constant for each nucleus and determines the energy dependence on the magnetic field. Mechanism of the absorption. To understand the nature of the nuclear spin transition, the analogy of the child spinning top is useful. The phenomena of precession is similar to that of the spinning top. Owing to the influence of the Earth's gravitational field, the top begins to wobble or process about its axis. The spinning nucleus behaves in a similar fashion under the nucleus of an applied magnetic field. When the magnetic field applied, the nucleus begins to process about its own axis of the spin with the angular frequency, which is sometimes called the Larmor frequency. The frequency at which the proton processes is directly proportional to the strength of the applied magnetic field. The stronger the applied field, the higher the rate of the precession. For the proton, if the applied field is 1.41 Tesla, the frequency of precession is approximately 60 megahertz. Since the nucleus has a charge, the precession generates an oscillating electric field of the same frequency. If the radio frequency waves of this frequency are supplied to the processing protons, the energy can be absorbed. When the frequency of an oscillating electric field components of the incoming radiation just matches the frequency of the electric field generated by the processing nucleus, the two fields can couple and the energy can be transferred from the incoming radiations to the nucleus, thus causing a spin change. This condition is called the resonance, and the nucleus is said to have the resonance with the incoming electromagnetic waves. Here's a diagram. When the magnetic field is applied, the nucleus begins process about its own axis to spin with the angular frequency, which is sometimes called the Larmor frequency. The frequency at which the proton processes is directly proportional to the strength of the magnetic field, the higher the rate of the precession. If the applied field is 1.41 Tesla, the frequency of precession is approximately 60 megahertz. So that's all from my side. Thank you.